All right. Um, this is going to be a very speedy run through of the installation process. We call them quick hits. Uh, Basically, it skips over a lot of the additional information and we just go straight for uh, the gist of the task. So I am sitting right now at the humbleprogramming.com website. This is where we're going to start from. Um, just a quick note, the repository that it is linked off here is the repository for this website. It is not the repository for the framework. There technically is no repository for the framework because um, the Humble programming website was written using Humble. So what I'm going to do right now is take you through the installation process. To begin, we're going to, from humbleprogramming.com, click on the installation link, and we are going to get to the page. Here it tells you a little bit about things you need to have installed if you're going to do a local installation. But there's also a Docker option here. So if you're going to do a local installation, you're going to have to make sure all these things are installed before we actually go and try to do the install process. The install process, though, begins with us downloading some files. So we come down to the package installer. We have some programs which walk you through it, and we're going to download those into our destination directory. So we're going to be creating a company called Acme Widgets, and we're going to create a bunch of different widgets using the Humble framework. So I'm going to begin by right-clicking on the shared driver and save it to the directory, which is called Acme, that I created in my projects folder. And then because I'm starting in Windows, I'm going to actually download the humble.bat file. That's the little helper file. And you can try to download the Humble shell script. I'm going to need it later, so I would try to download here. But when I try to download it, Windows tries to save it as a text document, and it's not a text document, so I'm going to skip that for now. So I'm going to come out here to my project directory, and you can see that I now have the Humble PHP humble.bat. Well, I also want to get the Linux driver, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to type humble -s driver, and that is going to actually go out and download the driver program for me. Okay, took a little bit there. All right, next, what we need to do is we need to create our project file. The project file is going to have enough information to get you support, to register your application, and to gather enough information to create the first module. Humble is a modular framework, and all the code goes into modules, so we're going to have to create your first module, which is also called your main module. And to do that, I'm going to clear the screen and then type humble -init. It's going to ask me if I want to initialize a project. Yes, I do. And first off, it wants to know my name, and that's an easy one. So the next one, it wants to know where to download the source code from. And for everyone who is going to use Humble to build an application, it's always going to be the same. If you're a member of the programming team at humbleprogramming.com, well, you might have a different option here. This project name is going to be Acme Widgets. And I'm going to put myself as the author. I want to know what the URL for this project is, and I have registered it as acme.com. Now, here's where it gets personal. Some code is going to be generated for you. Everyone's install of the Humble framework is going to be different. So it wants to know, what do you want your static factory to be named? Static factory is a common pattern. In Magento, they have Mage. Yi has Yi. I think Zend has Zend. It's a common pattern, and I'm going to name mine Acme. Okay. Now it wants you to create a package. Now, modules are contained in packages, and packages are nothing more than a directory. So it wants a directory name. I'm going to keep it easy and just call it main, because this is where my main module is going to go. And my main module name is going to be capital A, Acme. It's the Acme module. And that module has to be referenced by a namespace, and it gets a little repetitive here, and namespace is going to be Acme. And then it wants to know, after you log in, where are you going to land? It's making a suggestion of Acme homepage, but you can do anything you want here. It does have to be 3 segments, but it's going to be Acme main page. So this is going to be my main spa single page application. Now it's dumped a lot of information here. It's at this point in time you have to make a decision because we have to now go fetch the framework. And if I do humble dash fetch as it is saying, well, it's going to say, hey, your local environment isn't set up yet. You don't have all these things installed. So if you were going to do a local environment, local installation, you will have to go install all these different products, including these extensions and whatever else. And you also need your vhost set up. So hopefully you're familiar with that. It's Apache vhost, and I've got some help for you. If you type in humble vhost, a vhost will be generated called vhost.conf, and it's basically what you need wherever you have your Apache configured. You're going to need to put that in there. I can show you what it looks like right now, and it's tailored to what you have put in there. I'm not going to do that though. There is another option here. The option is to run with Docker, and what's going to happen here is I'm going to type humble dash docker. It's going to ask me which type of PHP engine you want to use. Do you want to use the Apache Mod PHP or Fast Process Manager? I really like Fast Process Manager, so I'm going to use that. And then it goes and generates some code for you. You can see it's telling you some commands here. It's telling you you're going to need to go to the Docker directory and run this command. And then you're going to need to run this command when it runs. So we're going to go do that right now. I'm going to go into the Docker directory. And you can see I did a directory here. And I got a bunch of things in here. If you need to, you can look at the Docker instructions.txt. It's got the same instructions again. Okay. But what I need to do is I need to build my image. And you can see it's telling me what to do right here. These are tailored instructions. So we begin. This is going to go pretty quick for me because I've already done this. But as you can see, that this is a very complete image. There are 73 steps in it, so you should expect it to take maybe 15 minutes. So once you're done there, it is simply Docker compose up-d to begin. And I probably should take a real quick look at the Docker compose YAML file just to show you what's in there. There's one main container with 2 sidecar containers, and the things that I often find myself changing in here are the ports. If I have multiple containers running, I might want it to have this on 8080 or something else, and have the standard MySQL and standard Mongo DB ports changed. Okay, that's about all you need. Now there are actually some other handy utilities in here, and one of the handy ones that's in here is just something called shell. It drops you into the container at the bash prompt. And so I'm going to go to the root, which is going to be var www.html. I do a list of the directory, and you can see I've got them all here. We've got our Humble project, all the things we need. We now have that Humble shell script, so I'm going to run that, do humble dash fetch, and I'm going to, from within the container, retrieve the framework code. And it's going to actually go through the process of downloading it all, extracting it out, and then running Composer. So this is going to take a little bit, so we're going to speed it up a little bit here. Okay, so Composer has just finished, and depending on platform, it's going to try to take you to this URL here, acme.com/install. So it didn't do it, so I'm going to come over here, because this is a Linux container running on Windows. And I'm just going to go ahead and copy that and go to a browser and paste that in. And what you can see here, let me blow it up a little bit, is we now have a screen that if you're using Docker and it had the Docker Compose file, it has pretty much everything in there that it needs to set it. All you really need to do is provide a password. We're going to run with the defaults. There is an option to set Redis as the other option, but for another reason, another video where I'll explain the pros and cons of using Memcache versus Redis, I'm going to stick with Memcache, and then I'm just going to click install. And it's going to run through the process of first installing the framework modules, then running an update process, and then dumping us off at your new login page. All right, so that was over pretty quick, and I'm going to just go ahead and log in, and then we're going to take a look at a few things and then call it for this quick hit. So just logged in, and some very basic information here, and we're going to go ahead and take a look during through the code editor. During the code installation, a module was created for you, and the information in it, the Humble project file, was used to create it. All the code you're ever going to put in this thing is going to be from the code directory here. Everything else you just ignore, as well as anything in the framework, because that is the framework code. Remember, during the initial project file creation, we specified that our modules will go into a directory called called packages, and we named it main. So there it is, and there is our Acme module. Okay. We then chose a Acme main page as our landing page, and so and you can see that here. You can see it's Acme main page. So we're going to go into the views folder, and you're going to see that there's a main for the name of the controller, and in the controller file there's also a controller directory. There's also a controller called main, which you can see right here. Created your basic actions, and then back down in your views, the name of the controller, and then the templater being used. Index.tpl is the equivalent to your index.html. Page.tpl is your SPA. That's your landing page, single page application. And the other ones are just your 404 for what happens when people try to request something that doesn't exist, and a recover and register, recover password and register new user that was created for you. So that is as far as we're going to go into the installation process. The product is installed, and we're ready to begin using it. Thank you.